Hello everybody, time to bring a bit of positivity to our stream. So if you watched the part 2, you'll have seen positivity. He stayed for a long time. I think he's going to go this time. Don't want to have him the whole way through. So we're going to carry on with our board game now. And we're going to have a look at what we've got so far. And then we're going to think about 2 players. And then enter the game. And if we get time, we'll do a bit of decoration as well. So let's get cracking. Let's just go through what we've got. So we've got a game that when we click go, you go to start. Then when I click on the dice, it will move that number of spaces. So I rolled an 8. So if I landed on the snake's head, he would slide down. If I landed at the bottom of the ladder, he would climb up. And we will get to the end of the game like so. Now, let's try and do a player 2, but let's try and make this as clever as we can. Let's try and do this in the best way possible. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate my dinosaur. Right, so I've got my dinosaur. Now if I click go, I predict they'll both go to the bottom, but I think they'll both move with the position being the same. So I think they'll both move together. So let's change this sprite to something else so I can recognize it as a different sprite. So we're going to choose a sprite. I might as well keep my dinosaur theme. I know there are some other dinosaurs on here. So let's go for a nice Triceratops. Okay, bit big, mate. Need to be a bit smaller. There we go. Okay, now I could go. He should. Oh, hang on. No, he hasn't got his code. Oh, I know what I did. I added in a brand new sprite when I wanted to add a new costume, didn't I? Go to costumes and then go to here and add the Triceratops costume. There we go. Down to the dinosaurs again. Here we go, if they'll load for me, and I'll be able to see my different costumes. There we go. So, there's my Triceratops. I'm going to go for this one. Excellent. Okay. So now I think he will move. Right, so, at the moment they move together, so they've moved 10 spaces. Now, I need to think about how am I going to control 2 different positions at the same time. So I'm going to need position for player 1 and position for player 2. So we can go to the code. We can go to variables. So let's get position. I want to rename the variable. So if I right click on it, I can rename the variable. So I'm going to call this position for player 1. Okay. Then I'm going to make a new variable called position for player 2. Okay, right. Now on player 2, I've got all these position player 1, position player 1, position player 1s, and that's not going to work. I need to change all of these for position player 2, so I'm going to have to unplug each one of these and change it. So I'm going to unplug all of them at once, like so, go all the way down, get rid of all the position player 1s, and then I'm going to have to start getting some position player 2s and put them in their place, because player 2 needs his own variable, so they can be at different places, and when we roll the dice they don't move to the same place. Okay, so let's get position 2. Okay, now trying to be clever and trying to make this as quick as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to do it lots of times. So I've already got a bunch to put in, and then I can start putting them in. Like so. Now I'm going to duplicate. Okay, try not to rush too much because I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, now at the moment I haven't actually done anything with the player 2 position, so this is not going to have any effect yet. I need to do something with the dice as well. So, here we go. Now I could have 2 sets of dice. I could have a set of dice for player 1 and a set of dice for player 2, but that's not really what happens when we play Snakes and Ladders. So, what I'd like to try and do is get it so you both use the same dice and it just takes turns. Change these to position to player 2 as well. Okay. Say hello in chat if you're there, guys. Let me know you're there. Let me know you're following. Right, let's look at these dice, shall we? Oh, now I've got total. Maybe I can keep total. Let's have a look. So, I need to know whose turn it is. So I'm going to make a variable called turn. And turn can be 1 or 2, depending if it's player 1's turn or player 2's turn. So when the game starts, I want turn to be set to 1. Right, and then when the dice is clicked, then we want to change turn to turn 2. So, okay, this is going to require a bit of thinking, guys. This is going to, I'm going to put my thinking cap on for this one. So, it's going to pick a random number, and then it's going to switch costume. So the dice is picking a random number, it switches the costume to that number. Yeah, and then it sets the total to that number. And it broadcasts Dino. And then it changes. Right, okay, so here's where I want to put my if loop, I think. So if that thing I've just made, if turn is equal to 1. So if turn is 1, then I want to change position 1. I want to change player 1's value. So if turn equals 1, I want you to change the player 1's values. However, we're going to duplicate all of that code. So I've got if it's turn 1, if turn equals 1, then change the position of player 1, and if they're on the snake or the ladder, then it changes whether you go up or down. But if it's turn number 2, then I want to change position 2. And if position 2 equals 10, so let's change that. So what we're basically doing is we're setting up the dice, so it looks at whose turn is it. Is it turn number 1, so it's player 1's turn, in which case we change the position of player 1, or is it player 2's turn, in which case we change the position of number 2. And we're also looking out for is that person on a snake or a ladder. Okay. Right, now I need to make sure that it switches between player 1 and player 2. So when it starts off, it's player 1's. So if I get to the very bottom here, I can set up a block that says if it's player 1's turn, change to player 2. If it's player 2's turn, change to player 1. So at the end of the go, it will swap to the other person's turn. So we need an if block. So if turn equals, so if turn equals 1, I can do an else actually. I could do a good little else here. Let's use else. If then else, because there's only 2 options. So if turn is equal to 1, then set turn to 2, so it will change it to player 2's go. And if it's not 1, it will set it back to turn 1. So what the computer is going to do here is it's going to go, right, is it turn 1? If it is turn 1, then it sets it to turn 2. But if it isn't turn 1, it will set it back to turn 1. So it should go 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Do I need that on both dice? I don't think I do. Let's give it a test. Not 100% sure this is going to work. We might have to do a bit of debugging here, but let's give it a go. So click on the dice. So I'm hoping just player 1 moves. Right, they both said you rolled an 8, which I can probably fix. Okay, so now when I click it again, the question is, it says it's going to be turn 2. Will this dinosaur move? Awesome, and he's going to land. No, interesting, he's landed in the same spot. No, he hasn't. He landed. Ooh, now that's interesting, isn't it? They both moved down the snake. So the broadcast I've used there needs to be individual, not a group, because they all heard that broadcast and they all fell down the snake, and that is not how you play snakes and ladders. So I'm going to need a new broadcast, one called Snake Player 2. Yep. If I make a broadcast, new one called Snake P2 and Ladder Player 2. Let's call it P2 to keep it in the same format. Okay, then if I go to Player 2, I need to listen when I receive a Ladder Player 2, when I receive Snake Player 2. Okay. Do I need a new message for this? Yes, I think I do. So this is where the person says how many you rolled. So I'm going to make Dino 2. And that means I'm going to have to change something on my dice as well. So there's a broadcast, says broadcast Dino. So we're going to have to put that into an if loop. But we'll do an if else again. So we'll say if if the turn is player 1's turn, then it's going to broadcast Dino. And if it's player 2's turn, if it's anything else, it will broadcast Dino 2. It's on the move, I've obviously clicked something. So if turn equals 1, then do player 1's, and if not, do player 2's. Yep, okay. What do I need? Variable turn. Okay, this is getting quite complex now, guys. Okay, so Dino 1 moves on his own. Brilliant. Dino 2 moves on his own. Okay. Pretty happy so far. Right, so he's under the snake and only he moves. That's perfect. And you notice that only the dinosaur that's moving is saying what score you got. Fantastic. That's really good. Right, guys, so 2 players. That was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. It's quite complicated on the code, and I've had to make a new variable for lots of different things, but it's working out pretty well. Now, I think there are a couple of adjustments I'd like to make to my game, because I think you move too far, because there's 2 dice and there aren't really enough squares for this. So I'm going to think about maybe removing one of my dice, or I could just remove the number of possible things on the dice. I don't know. Perhaps we'll leave that till later. I think the last thing I want to do for our code is put it so when you get to the end, you win. Okay, so let's do that. So position 16 is our top position, I believe. Let's just get there and check it. Oh, here one on a snake. Okay, roll an 8. Another 8. Let's just get to the end. So he's 1 away. He's on 15. So 16 is this last square. But as you'll see, the position can go above 16. That's fine. So I want to do some checks. So we're going to do, when I click go, so let's do this on the background. When I click go, forever, if, what we're going to do is we're going to check position 2 and position 1, see if they're higher than 16. So if, but we'll have 2 ifs. We'll do it like this. We will say if position 1 So if position 1 is ever bigger than 15, so remember 16 is the number we're looking for, but we're looking for anything that's bigger than 15, so 16, 17, 18, 19, anything that's bigger, then we're going to broadcast something, and we'll do the same for position 2. So if position 2 is ever bigger than 15, we're going to broadcast another thing. So events, broadcast, and we'll have a new broadcast. We're getting quite a lot of broadcasts, so P1 win, and we'll have another broadcast in here which will be P2 win. Okay. Then if I go to our dinosaur, so if I go to player 2 dinosaur and say when I receive P2 win, we can say, I should have a sound as well. We can play a sound. Let's go and get a good sound for him. I want a dinosaur roar. I wonder if there's a dinosaur roar on here. Oh, it might be even better if we could record a roar. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to click on the button when I want to record. Roar! Okay, can I change the length of it? Let's have a listen to it. Roar! It's a good dinosaur roar. Pretty happy with that. So he's going to roar like that when he wins. So we're not going to play pop, we're going to roar. Recording number 1, happy with that. And then he's going to say, I win. So, why is that not writing in there? That's why I win. Okay, then I'm going to copy that code across to dinosaur number 1. Except he's going to listen out for player 1 wins. And he's going to say, I win. Should we do a different recording for this dinosaur? I think we should. So let's do another one. Okay. It's going to be good. You ready? Super. You could have your dinosaur roars to whatever you wanted, but I'm going with that, so I'm going to call this roar 1. Oh, I spelled it right then. Roar. Okay. Oh no, that's interesting. He got to the end and he roared. Let's test it out. Let's see which roar we get. So player 1's going to go first. Gets a 9. Goes down the snake. Bad times. Okay, player 2's going. Okay, player 1's back on again. Roll an 8. Is he going to get past the snake? Just. Player 2's going. Roll a 9. No, I'm thinking I should hear a roar, but I'm not hearing a roar. What's going on? What is going on? What have I coded wrong? Player 2 win. I feel like he should be roaring right now. Let's go to our background, make sure I haven't put any code in error there. So when position 2 is above 15, position 2 is above 15, then broadcast P2 win. Should be broadcasting that right now. Says it's broadcasting it right now. I wonder if it's broadcasting it so much that it is stopping that from actually starting the roar. Let's try that. So event, now there's a stop this script. I can get. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so what I'm thinking is it was keeping on looping and kept sending the broadcast, and so it couldn't roar before it started the broadcast again. So let's just try it like this. Okay. No. No, this is where we're going to have to get some debugging going on, guys. So, forever if position 1 is greater than 15, yep, that's the greater than broadcast player 1 win. But it is greater than, it's 18. Okay, what happens if I separate these out? It shouldn't make any difference as far as I can tell, but let's just test it with them separately. Events, green flag. Okay, let's give this a go. So I've just separated out their code. Now I don't think this should be a problem. Oh, I think. Okay, instead of putting stop this script, I'm going to put a wait in. I'm going to put a wait in of, let's say, 10 seconds. A nice long wait. Okay. Right. Let's keep testing. Score 2. Okay, we're off. Player 1 to go again. Ooh, scored a 12. Amazing. Is it going to be enough though? Not quite. Ooh, there it was. I wonder what took it so long. There was a big gap and it suddenly decided. And now it's going to keep doing that every 10 seconds or so. Okay, cool. I'm pretty happy that works. So I think we've got a pretty good game. Now there's absolutely loads of code that we've done on this. So what I'm going to do just before I finish the video is I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you all the different bits of code that we've got. So let's see if I can put this in an order that makes it easy to see. If I put that over here and these two up here. Okay, so let's start with dice number 1. So dice number 1 was our first tutorial. It isn't too bad actually. So what I've got here is I've got a block that tells it to go to the top corner, so it's always in the same place. So that's the coordinates for the block. And then I've got the same code repeated because I've got 2 dice and I wanted the player to be able to pick either dice to click on. So when it's clicked on, it changes its costume 30 times. So it just goes random, change, and then eventually it picks a number and then it sets the costume to whatever that number was. So we had a variable called dice and it chooses 1 to 6 and it goes to costumes number 1 to 6. And those are our costumes 1 to 6. Okay. We also had it, if it received the broadcast, it would do the same thing. Dice 2 ended up being a little bit more complicated because we added a lot to it. So first thing, when the sprite's clicked, it broadcasts roll. We've got the coordinate it needs to go to at the start of the game. And I also added in here that it would be turn 1 when we started the game. So it's player 1's turn. Right, so same to begin with as dice number 1. We repeat the costume 13 times. Then we set it to pick a random costume between 1 and 6 using the variable dice 2. Here's where it gets a little bit different because it then takes a new variable. It takes dice 1, whatever that rolled, and dice 2, whatever that was rolled, and it adds them together to make a new variable called total. Then we said if it was turn 1, so if it was the player 1's turn, it would broadcast dino, and that was the signal for the dinosaur to say what he'd rolled. If it wasn't turn 1, then it would broadcast the dinosaur 2, and he would say what he rolled. So then we had, if it was turn 1, he would change the position once for however many times there are repeated in the total. So if you rolled a 6, it would change your position 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'd see it move along each one of those things because we put a weight in there. So it repeats, changing it by once, however many times you rolled. So 1 times 6, 6 places. We then had the programming for the snake. So we said if position 1 was 10, which is this is the 10th position on the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then it would broadcast snake. And we've got code on our dinosaur to say what happens if you get the message snake. We'll look at that in a minute. We have the same then for the ladder. So we said if your position 1 was 5, then you could broadcast ladder, and we've got the code on the dinosaur for what to do when they hear ladder. Then we had exactly the same thing, but for player 2. So repeat the number of the score on the dice, and then change their position 1 time for every dot on the dice. So if they rolled a 7, change it 7 times 1. We then had the snake, but we had a broadcast for player 2, and we had the ladder, but a broadcast for player 2. And at the bottom, one of the last things we added was this turn variable. And we said if it's turn 1, then change it to turn 2. But if it's not turn 1, change it back to turn 1. So it kept changing backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Okay. Right, here's some heavy coding in here. Let's put it into some sort of logical order. So when I click go, when I receive dino, when I receive snake, when I receive ladder, and when I receive win. Okay. So when we click go, the position 1, so we've got a position variable that tells it which square to be in. So position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So on. So it says, right, start the game, go to position 1, that's this bottom square here. And it says go to that place. Okay? It might be that I don't need that code at all. I think I can get rid of that. I think that's unneeded code. Let's just move him and see if it works. So roll a 4. Dun, dun, dun. Go on. What did I do? I broke it. Okay, that's fine. It worked. And then does it go back to the start? Okay, that's fine. So when the game starts, it goes back to position 1. Then when remember in dice we have that broadcast, so once it's added them up, it says broadcast to player 1 if it's player 1's turn, and he will say you rolled a, and it will tell you how many you rolled using this block. When you are on position number 10, you will get the broadcast snake. And if you hear snake, it's going to glide to this coordinate here. So it's going to go down the snake. And then it's going to set its position to 3 because it's on square number 3. Likewise, when it receives the broadcast ladder, it's going to glide from here to here. And it's going to change its position to 12 because it is then on square number 12. And then when it wins, so when its score goes above, when its position goes above 15, then it's going to roar and it's going to say I win. Now, this big piece of code here on the right hand side is responsible for checking what position, so what score it's on with its dice it's rolled and how far it should go and where those are on the board. So position 1 is these coordinates. Position 2, which is here, is these coordinates. Position 3 is these coordinates, and it's constantly keeping track and moving the dinosaur to the right square. So when you roll the dice, it's using this to check where it should be. Okay, we have exactly the same code on player 2, although some hidden bits down here. Let's try and tidy them up. So if I move this down, it should be easier to see them all. Here we go. So we've got, when I click go, we've got the when I receive dino, we've got the snake, and we've got the win. I need a ladder, and there's a ladder. Okay, so we found out we could actually get rid of that code because it was doing the same job as this block here. Okay, so again, same code. So when we start the game, we go to position 1. When the dice rolls and it's our turn, we will say what our total was. We've got a broadcast for player 2's snake. So it had to be a different broadcast, otherwise they both moved. We've got the broadcast, so when they hear that it's the player 2's ladder and where they go and what set their position to, and then we've got the win for player 2, and then we've got the same code as player 1 for the positions of the squares, but all the variables are position for player 2. And then the final bit of code we've got is to check who's won. So we say forever if position 1 is over 15, then broadcast player 1 wins. And if it's over 15 player 2 wins. Okay, last thing I want to do before we finish off is I want to hide my variables because they are in the way. And then I want to have a go at my game right now. So let's have a go. So player 1's off. Roll an 8. I'd like to get the ladder. Come on. No, I didn't get the ladder. Roll a 9. Uh-oh. I think I'm going to get the snake though. Down he goes. Okay, player 1's going to roll a 7. And fingers crossed he's going to go raw. Nice. Okay. So, there's lots of code in there, guys, but obviously you can go back, you can check the video. If you make your own, that's awesome. He's going to keep growing until I finish this video, so I'm going to stop now. We will be back tomorrow. I'm going to try something a bit simpler tomorrow, bring it back down to some basics. But if you followed along or if you enjoyed it, well done, and thank you very much. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye for now. Bye.